boys who've been students at Eton and ask them what they remember about their time at Eton. You know, was it the privilege or the uniform or the sports they played or the fact they did very well and got to a good university? Sure, yeah, but it tends not to be that. Very often it is the memory of one particular teacher with a burning enthusiasm for some subject. I spoke recently with one Eton boy who's now 35 years old and is successful in the City of London. He's a very good career. And he says the single thing he valued most at Eton was learning about Italian Baroque architecture. And it wasn't the subject so much as the passion of the teacher which inspired him. And that's, in many ways, I think, a very good story, because it illustrates what one hopes is true of a good education. It's the spark that ignites a passion or a yearning, a longing for more knowledge, for a greater understanding. And if you do that just once with a young person, then that actually translates to the rest of life. You can reproduce that in many different ways. We are fortunate in having former students here who clearly have an affection for the school, and the reason the school has been able to thrive and grow in the way it has over many, many years is because of the gifts we have received, and some of them quite remarkable gifts over the years. Whether, for example, it's rather like Henry Wotton in the 1720s, who donated his spectacular collection of books, which is the basis of College Library. And College Library is one of the jewels at Eton for me. I think it is a wonderful place of interesting and rare books. For example, one of the best quality editions in the world of the Gutenberg Bible, the very first printed text. Manuscripts by famous authors, first editions, whether it's James Bond novels, because Ian Fleming was a former student here who wrote those books, through to manuscripts of poets like Shelley or Thomas Hardy novels. It's a treasure trove, an absolutely wonderful collection which people have given gifts to. And that is a wonderful experience as young students, simply to be able to be close to that kind of material. It's an inspiration. So whether it's gifts like that or whether it is actually financial bequests over the year which have helped fund scholarship or build buildings. So the Eton family, in that broad sense, the Eton family that goes on, even if you're 70 years old or 80-year-old, you're still an Eton boy, has been very important to us. And certainly something from my point of view I'm keen to encourage, because it is very much for the good of the school.
Oh yeah, plays. I mean, Eton has a great theatre over there, which is it's huge, and it's a professional theatre. I mean, with all the sort of equipment and all the capabilities of a proper theatre. And so you go there and do really great plays, because I mean the acting talent is huge at Eton. There's so many people to choose from, and surprisingly we've got so much talent. And school put on King Lear the other day, one of Shakespeare's big, hard, tough tragedies, heavy stuff, and it was amazing. It was incredible. I wasn't in it, I was watching, because we're doing a house play, so with the house. But I watched it. It was incredible. It's so good.
What people who visit the school are surprised by, because the answer to that is that the comment I regularly get from parents, particularly who visit for the first time, is they're amazed that we don't have a great big security wall around the place. It's public streets, it's open. And that's a very good example of how Eton is different on the inside from the way sometimes it might appear on the outside. But I think it is very important for Eton, it always has been, that boys in an all-boys boarding school live and work as part of a town, with public roads, open streets, anyone can wander through. Life goes on all around them, unlike some educational institutions which are along a great driveway somewhere out in the country, removed from everywhere. So Eton isn't the cut-off, removed, isolated institution that sometimes people might believe, which is rather more the stuff of legend, I think, than reality.
Boys can be absolutely anything, and the great thing about Eton is that there's the academic side of it, but at the same time it promotes whatever your interests are, and it just encourages individuality, and just if you like to do something, do it and pursue it to the greatest potential.
I think the history of Russian, as I see it, the learning of Russian in England is very interesting. When I was a student in the 1960s and 70s, in the days of the mysterious Soviet Union, which was a thing of darkness and mystery, learning Russian was sexy. It was a cool thing to do. It was almost it was the stuff of MI5 and James Bond and the KGB. And it was actually it was also difficult, so it was an intellectual challenge. So it wasn't widespread, but there were some interested and interesting boys who would learn Russian. With the fall of the Berlin Wall, interest in learning Russian declined dramatically. But it is subsequently at Eton picked up again and is now strong. And I think that's for two reasons. First, because it is well taught and it's interesting. The second, because I think Etonians now see opportunities in the modern Russia which they wouldn't have thought of 10 or 20 years ago. It is sometimes said, I don't know whether this is true, but it is sometimes said that over the centuries, Eton boys have shown a remarkable knack of spotting where the power is, where things change, whether it's in politics or in business or in what part of the world. So it's quite an interesting barometer of reaction that we've had this early interest which falls away and now comes back. And we've had more students studying Russian at the senior level, aged 17, 18, this year than, for example, studied German. Now that is a dramatic change from 20 years ago. But I also have to say there are more people now learning Mandarin than are learning Russian. So it's moving all the time.
In Britain, you're absolutely right. The numbers of students doing Russian is declining, and majority of reasons I can give you will be economical ones. Schools who cannot recruit more than 10 students to do it, the course is considered not, viable to run, and that's why a lot of schools drop it, just for the pure economics. Eton luckily doesn't have the problem with financing, so we managed to sustain numbers, and over the last 7 years the actual number of students has been growing. We're very happy. In '98, when I came to Eton, we had 3 students doing Russian. Today we have 57, which is a very healthy number for us. So
I had some sort of Russian history to me, because my dad was a diplomat, and we used to live there for sort of 6-7 years. Well, I did, and then I came to England, and I was just generally sort of brought up there, and I find it really interesting, the whole culture, the literature, the people. I find it fascinating. I think I'll probably do it at university as well.
Recent stability in Russian politics has been good for us. Tradition of intellectual curiosity at Eton College is a very strong point, so a lot of boys who consider some languages very easy would find Russian challenging and interesting and will come to us. Also, as far as we are concerned, we do everything for the students to make them interested. We take them to Russian theater, Russian rock concerts. We take them to Russia every year. We organize pancakes parties. We drink tea in Russian style. We have quiz nights. We have joint meetings with girls from schools who also study Russian. And virtually it becomes like a lifestyle. And the kids, respond positively to all these things that we provide for them.
Yeah, a lot. Our year is, we have 30 students doing Russian out of 250, which is huge for a single language. French obviously has about 70, Spanish has about 40, but so, Russian's not far behind, and it's catching on. It's really good, and especially with, Russia's developing so quickly, and so many things are happening. Films are coming out, music's coming out. It's really exciting. Really, really exciting. Oh, we get all kinds of stuff from Mr. Reznikov. Chicherina, then joker ones like Glukoza. What else? Classics like Angelica Varum. What else?
Is it supposed to be classics?
Classics, old stuff. What else? 50s music, so a lot of stuff. Bidva, Splin, Umitrol.
You might be interested to know that there's a Etonian society in Moscow, all the boys who studied Russian and go to work in Russia, they actually keep in touch and they organize sometimes meetings. A good example would be they chipped in and bought me a ticket to say thank you. So they flew me to Moscow, gave me a nice dinner in a